So we're not loading at the kitchen table anymore. That's good news. Bench is set back up. I'm in a new temporary location that we're probably going to use for a couple years, but it looks kind of barren right now without all my junk. It'll feel normal pretty soon. So today I need to get going here on a deer load for this year for whitetail deer. It's the end of September, so down to just 4 or 5 weeks. Last couple videos have been with 223 and I want to stay there. I've got a couple copper or lead-free bullets that I want to try today, because on a live stream a while back, I kind of made a commitment to use a lead-free bullet this year. Because I haven't always had the best luck with accuracy when trying these lead-free options. I love their terminal performance, right? Like most of them are weight retention, deep penetration type of bullets, and that's the sort of bullet I prefer. So the two for today, we've got the Barnes TSX. This is the 70 grain TSX, and I've also got the 70 grain Hornady GMX. The Hornady GMX, this one doesn't have a polymer tip, but I think a lot of the GMX line does. Thought that was weird. Like even the box shows a polymer tip, but it doesn't have one. So I just want to shoot, some of each of these and see if either one shows any promise. Now, the load data that Barnes provides for their bullet, they've got a nice powder list. They show an overall length of 2.250, and on their load data, they actually mark one powder as the recommended powder. And for this bullet, it's Power Pro 2000 MR. Now, we've shot plenty of Power Pro 2000 MR. It's a good powder, slow burning powder for this application. Velocities are usually very good. Pressures are pretty low, and you can shoot a full case of powder. You can see their max charge. They show 26.1 grains, and they show that as being a compressed load. Now, on the Barnes website with their load data, they have a section for loading guidelines, and the top one here is, where do I seat the TSX, Tip TSX, and LRX bullets? They say that your rifle may prefer a bullet jump of anywhere between 50 thousandths up to 250 thousandths or more. This distance off the lands may be limited to the rifle throat length, magazine length, and bullet length. When selecting the cartridge overall length, we recommend starting with a minimum jump of 50 thousandths off the lands. You can test different seating depths and find a sweet spot that your particular firearm prefers. We suggest working in at least 25,000 increments as follows, seating the bullet deeper to allow a further jump. Your test plan could look something like this, and so on and so forth. So that's what I want to do. So today I want to shoot 25 grains of Power Pro 2000 MR. That's a pretty light load. We shouldn't have to worry too much about pressure. So today let's do like Barnes mentions, and let's just test some different bullet jumps. Now, in the Hornady manual, they do not list Power Pro 2000 MR for the Hornady GMX bullet, but they do list Power Pro Varmint, which is a little faster burning powder that's also really good in 223. And like the max load they show with Varmint is 26.4. So if Hornady's saying they can do 26.4 of Varmint, they could definitely do more of Power Pro 2000 MR. It's a slower powder. That might not make any sense whatsoever, but it's just another context clue while I'm trying to convince myself that 25 grains of 2000 MR is a safe load for this Hornady GMX bullet, even though I don't have any load data to support that. Make sense? I feel good about it just from experience with the powder. So we'll see how that works out for me. Now, as far as jump to the lands, I tested each of these bullets in my gun, and the max overall length with Hornady is about 2.315, and with the Barnes it's about 2.365. But then the problem is you can't really seat them all that much deeper, because if you look at the minimum overall length where the ogive of the bullet gets to the case mouth, we don't want to go beyond that. Well, we can only go down to around 2.2. So back to Barnes guidelines, they say to start with a minimum jump of 50 thousandths off the lands. Well, that brings us to 2.315 with that bullet. So we've only got 115 thousandths window to play around with here. So these are the overall lengths I want to shoot. We'll set 2.3 as a maximum. 65 thousandths of jump with the Barnes and about 15 thousandths with the Hornady. And then we'll work our way shorter in 25 thousandths increments like Barnes mentions, and go all the way down to 2.200. The Barnes data used Remington 7.5 primers, so let's use those today. That'll make for a nice change. Don't use those very often. And the brass is some new Lake City brass that I did run an expander through just to make sure the mouths were nice and round. I think we're good to go. Case mouths have been chamfered, and my 25 grain charges of Power Pro 2000 MR have already been weighed. So all I need to do is seat bullets here and we'll be ready to get on the range. Now, our longest overall lengths, 2.3 inches and 2.275, will not fit in the normal, just standard PMag that I generally use with 223. But I want to test them anyway. If those end up being where one or both of these bullets wants to shoot, then I can get a hold of a magazine or modify a magazine or do something to get out to about 2.3 inches. Actually, most of my metal magazines for Grendel and Arc and Valkyrie and some of those others, those allow for 2.3 inch overall length. So maybe one of those would work just fine. I don't know. Today we'll just single feed them and see how that goes. Is that it? I mean, I think, yeah, that's everything. I was checking the bullets with some different seating stems, and my Forster die seemed to work pretty good. We used this guy last week, so we'll use it again here. Now this time the 25 grain charge should not be compressed. I don't expect it to be compressed. So I'm just finishing up with the Hornady. I forgot to hit record a little bit ago. You didn't miss a whole lot. I had one minor problem where I just seated some too short, so I had to adjust my target overall lengths, which hopefully I've already been updating on the screen as you see the load data. So our longest overall length with the Hornady is going to be 2.290, which this is the first of those. There we go, 2.291, close enough. And this is what that looks like up on this end. And the shortest ones at 2.190 look like that. That start of the cantilever, the end of the bearing surface is right there at the case mouth. Okay, now, so I don't make the same mistake with the Barnes, I'm going to back this die out. And I'm going to try and stick with the original overall length of 2.3. So let's see if we can get that dialed in. Man, that already feels like it's seated a lot. Nope, not quite there. Yep, that's plenty long enough. Just a little over 2.4 right now. That's down 105. Let's see where that puts us. So my total overall length on this one is 2.305. Remember, 2.300 is the target, so I need to go 5.5 thousandths shorter. But if I look at my cartridge-based ogive number, it's right about 1.913. So instead of going down 5, I'm going to go down 3, and I'm going to shoot for a target here of 1.910. Yep, 1.910 and 2.302. Works for me. Now the good thing about using this Forster die today and doing 25 thousandths increments is this is 25 thousandths per revolution. So just a quick spin and our next length here should be right on the money hopefully. 1.885 and it's there. Should be about a 2.275 total overall length. A little bit long there. Yeah, the next one's much closer. Just 1.5 thousandths long. All right, well, if this is all going to go smoothly and be boring, we might as well just get on out to the range. All right, folks, time to get started. It is a beautiful day. Temperature right around 70 degrees, I think. I've got a target at 100 yards. My gun is a White Oak Armament SPR barrel, 18-inch, 1-in-7 twist with rifle gas. The scope is a Vortex Viper PST Gen 1, and we'll have it on 24 power today. Is that it? Velocities with the lab radar, dot marker electronic target system, same old stuff. Is my camera out of focus? Yeah, that looks a little bit better. All right, we're going to start with the Hornady. We're shooting 25 grains of Power Pro 2000 MR. So our first overall length is going to be the long one at 2.290. I want to stick each one in there manually each time. Let's see how they do. Well, I guess I wish I could say I was surprised. 2.16 inches, and definitely wasn't even trying to group. So our first velocity was 2585 with a standard deviation of 26.0 and an extreme spread of 70. So very low velocity, but we were kind of expecting that, right? This is a pretty light charge of 2000 MR. That's okay. And really crappy standard deviation. So this will probably be the last time I mention velocity. Yeah, I expect it to be the same or pretty darn close on the next 4 groups, but I'll have notes over there in the box there with group size and velocity as we go, but kind of a waste of breath telling you the same thing over and over again, right? Yeah, that's just ugly. Okay, next is 2.265 inches. Looks a whole lot better through the scope. Oh, heck yes. 0.97 inches. So it's not necessarily trying to put them all through the same hole quite yet, but that's very, very encouraging. Okay, moving right along. Next is 2.240. So 1.33 inches. Okay, now we start getting short. This group is 2.215. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Heck yes. Yeah, that is just fantastic. 0.66 inches. And this velocity that I've been ignoring is actually fascinating. So we're slowly getting slower. As our overall length gets shorter, our velocities are dropping. And the standard deviations are tightening up considerably. So it makes me wonder, so the deeper we seat the bullet into the case, the less empty case capacity we've got, right? So would we be seeing a similar trend if we were moving up in charge weight to fill that case capacity rather than going shorter with our overall length? Okay, let's see if the trend continues. We've got one more to go here with the Hornady, and it is 2.190 inches. Whoa, that felt like a good shot. Heck's it doing way out there? Interesting. What was the group before that one? Yeah, the other 4 were into 0.80. Well, that sucks. The way the standard deviations kind of follow the group size more or less is probably coincidence, but it's very interesting. Yeah, that last shot, very disappointing. But that's okay. We've got that 4th group to hang our hat on. 0.66 inches, really, really good. Good SD. Pretty, overall pretty happy here with the GMX. All right, I want to take a little bit of a break, and then we'll move on to the Barnes. Okay, moving right along to the 70 grain Barnes. We're going to start with 2.300. All right, so that's not too bad, 0.95 inches. That was a little bit of a weird group where point of impact kept dropping. And through that group, I was kind of struggling to get my rest set up right for that new row, right? So a new group of 5 means dropping down. So I was a little bit squirmier on my bags than I like to be. I don't know, maybe that was a factor. Probably not. The velocity on that one was 2563, standard deviation 19.5. Okay, moving a little bit shorter. 2.275. See what happens. All right, so that is a really nice group, 0.69 inches, nice. Next up, 2.250. Some of these groups are just weird. And another thing I just kind of noticed that's weird. With the Hornady, we had that slow and steady drop in velocity, and we don't seem to be getting that whatsoever with the Barnes. Tell you what, anybody who tries to tell you they understand how any of this crap works is lying to you, I think. Freaking witchcraft. Next up, 2.225. Make sure I had all my 2s there. 2.225. Okay, 1.36 inches. Velocity continuing to climb up. Yep, the wheels are kind of coming off here a little bit. Okay, last group of the day, 2.200. All right, 1.25 inches. Not that great. That was our best standard deviation of the day, with the Barnes at least, 10.9. So, man, this powder and bullet just are not going to get it done here with the Barnes, are they? Those first 2 groups were pretty good though, especially this second one here, but still, did we maybe get lucky here with 5 good shots? Can't really be sure. But now, you know, I should also say, this is perfectly good shooting for deer hunting here in Kentucky. 100 yards or 150 yards is about the longest shot opportunities I run into. So any of these loads, dial it in, hit the woods. So I guess now the question coming out of this video will be, okay, let's say we take this as our good overall length, which that was 2.215 inches with the Hornady. Do we then try to, you know, get some more velocity? Because, you know, we're down at 2,500 feet per second. We could get to 2,800 with this bullet probably, with this powder. So that might be the next test, is take this overall length and basically just work our way up with Power Pro 2000 MR until it gets annoyingly compressed. I think that'll be our limiting factor, and see if the accuracy holds together. Pretty promising stuff here. And even with the Barnes, maybe we try a different powder. Maybe try something on the faster end, faster burning end of things. Not sure. So I think that's where we'll leave this one, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.